Hi there.
Hi, I'm Shay. I'm with EEUK.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm one of the speakers. I'm just
Yes.
getting things set up and prepared.
Perfect.
Yes.
I just joined the meeting early to kind
That's
of
okay.
do
Don't
like
worry.
a tech check.
Yeah.
And we usually do that. Hi,
And here's
Karis.
Karis. Hi, Karis.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, how are
Good,
you?
good, good. Now, I'm just
Yes.
seeing whether I can join with my laptop as well as my desktop. I think I should be able to just join. Just to get the thing is, I was going to do an AI demo, and if I'm running it locally, it slows down the computer and the camera goes a bit crackly, so I'll do it in two separate computers.
Okay.
Yeah,
Shay, are we recording this? I wasn't sure if we would be or not.
Yeah, we
Oh,
are.
right, okay.
I've got the
That's
setting
fine
on, and it already started recording when we joined.
Okay, perfect.
And it was also sent in the delicate instructions that if
Oh,
anyone's not
great.
okay
Thank
with it,
you.
they can let us know, but no one's gotten back.
Yeah.
I'll be opening the event today, and I just prepared like a little slide to talk about the future events so that we can get a bit promo on the next academic event as well as the SIGs that are coming up.
Yeah.
I won't take super long, but if you want to try sharing your screens, like I've just tried mine and I hope it's visible.
Yeah.
Is my screen visible? Yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
If you
it
want,
is.
we can try, if you guys want to share your screen just so that we don't have any tech issues when the session actually starts. So I'll stop sharing and I'll let you like play around with it.
Yeah, so you can just see blank background on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Good.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah,
We have
I'll just so my let's do it for a window. So this should be my what do you call presentation, and I'm just Microsoft being bloody well. It's not Microsoft actually; it's the university system. I just need to haven't logged in at the laptop in 48 hours, so I've got to do 10 authentications and 2 factors and all the rest of it. Pain in the arse. I just want to see it because, as I said, I want to run the AI thing from the laptop.
Yeah, that makes sense. Patrick, do you have a preference on going first or second?
It all depends whether this thing's going to work in the next 2 minutes. I don't mind. Is the short answer. Yeah, absolutely don't mind.
Okay.
Hold on, I'm just going to.
Shay, how many people have signed up?
let me check. I think there were 11.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think because we got the event live up last week for that. I think that was quite good, but hopefully
such a busy time as well.
Yeah, exactly. Let me check the number again. We have another speaker joining, right?
Yes, yeah, Patrick.
Yes, okay.
Patrick, sorry.
No, Alexander?
Andrew.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was on a deadline. I was up late last night.
It's all right.
Yeah, we have 12 people who've signed up for the event.
Okay, cool. Where does the recording go, Shay?
It just stays in the chat.
Okay.
That on Teams. I'm happy to download it and send it over to you if you want, or we can also upload it to our YouTube and share it as an unlisted link for people.
All right, perfect. Lovely. Yeah, it might be quite useful. Okay. Shay, you going to stay on the whole call or are you going to hop off?
I'll stay on it, but I'll keep my camera off. So I'll be around. I'll be listening in, but I'll also be getting work on the side.
Thank you. I'm going to be keeping an eye on the chat and then fielding any big questions after each speaker.
Yeah.
Hi, Alexander. Good to see you.
Hi, nice to see you too.
So we've got Patrick on the call, who's our other speaker, who's frantically sorting tech out at the moment. And Shay is our EEUK coordinator, who's set all the links up and everything for us, and she's going to be leading at the start.
Hi.
That didn't knock me out, did it?
No. Do you want us to join you as well on that link?
Hold hold on. Can I share the screen? No, for some reason, have I logged on? I haven't logged on twice. No.
You've got another invite's come up.
Oh, right.
To say that you've started a meeting, so I don't know if you've gone on to another
so then
link.
that's a different. Hold on. No. Yes, leave. Okay, so for some reason, let's join now. Just make sure. Has that come up as me?
Do you want us to join you?
Well, I should be joining this meeting. Oh no, hold on. I join this meeting. Yeah. Add this device. That's it. Yes, that's it. That's okay. Right. So let's just get rid of this. Can I share my screen window? I'm just making sure that. Oh, sorry, I've knocked you guys out. Don't worry. I just want to see if I can share this screen. Oh, we need security.
Hi.
We're just sorting all the tech out. We'll be starting in a few minutes.
Oh, God.
The joys of working with tech.
Oh, yes.
Constantly keeping you on your toes.
It's update Tuesday in Newcastle. Nothing works on a Tuesday.
So, what's going on here? Now, let's try that again. Join. Oh, no, sorry. Newcastle University. Okay, so yeah, that's me. Second me up there. Oh no! Why does it keep trying to make it into a new meeting?
Do you want me to share the invite to that email, like if you want?
Yeah, hold on. No, I think this should be. It can see you, and every single time it tries to create a new meeting, which is rather. Can you share me the invite? Can you send it by email? Because it keeps trying to create
Is it the same email?
Yeah, it's Microsoft. It's Teams. Microsoft turn everything to rubbish.
Yeah, let me send that over to you again.
Yeah.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Paris. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Looking forward to this session.
Yeah.
It's like a really interesting title. I'm here just because I'm interested in the session. Shay is the EEUK host today.
Yeah. Wow. We're going to start in a few minutes. Just sorting the tech out for the moment, and then we'll.
Did you send me that update, that email?
Yeah, I've sent you an updated invite, and let me see if I'm able to add you as a presenter, so maybe that would also help. But let me know if anything changes from your end.
Did you email that to me?
Yes.
Okay, still waiting.
What's not working?
Oh, it's Teams on a Mac.
PC.
And, yeah, it's just Microsoft being Microsoft, but don't worry.
Or you could say it's just Mac being Mac.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think it's more Microsoft, but yes, like I'm using a PC and a Mac at the same time. It's always a bad idea, guaranteed.
Hi, Kath. Lovely to see you. Oh, you're on mute, Kath.
We'll see.
I'm going to wish everyone a happy belated St. David's Day. It's been a while.
Oh, thank you, Karis.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, good. Sun's shining, the daffodils are out. Everything's good.
Oh, it's lovely, isn't it? Doesn't it make a difference?
Yeah.
Beautiful. I'm really looking forward to this event. Thank you to all the organisers. This is something I'm really looking forward to, something needed. Fantastic.
Thank you. Hi, Andy. Lovely to see you. Oh, these people I haven't seen for ages. Yeah, no problem if people need to keep their their screens off, that's absolutely fine. Entirely your choice. We're going to be starting in a few minutes. We're just sorting a little bit of tech out at this end.
Yeah, that's okay. Just checking to see if this. Ah, yeah, there it is. All sorted. I'll stop sharing.
Amazing.
Smashing.
Brilliant. I'm okay. So I can be first or second. I don't mind. Alexander,
do you have a preference? Would you like to go first or second?
Don't mind either. Whatever works.
We're going to rock, paper, scissors this. Brilliant. Okay. Shay, do you want to give your little intro?
Yeah, definitely. Hi, everyone. I'm Shay, and I'm the Events and Marketing Officer at EEUK. Thank you so much, Karis, for organizing and putting together this event for the Academic Pathway Network. I'm just here for like 2 minutes to talk about the upcoming events and opportunities that we have at EEUK that are upcoming. So we obviously have many more events throughout the month. So we've got the Academic Pathway Network, which is related to Sustainable Enterprise Swap Shop, and the Rent Ed SIG webinar coming up, which is in collaboration with ISB. We've also got a few Sustainable SIG events coming up in the month, and exchange events, which some of them are online, some of them are in person. I think we also have training programs that are going to be happening in April and May, and this is Fast Track especially is great for anyone who is in the academic pathway and is looking to get a fast track into entrepreneurship and enterprise education. I'll put the links in the chat box so that everyone has access to these, and you can obviously go and look at these in your free time. But just an overview, the training programs are really, really good, and they will be done online, so the location won't be a barrier and you can join in. We do these events are discounted for EEUK members, so it would be it's nice that these events are available. We also have the conference coming up, which is our flagship event, and it's happening from 2nd to 4th September at Nottingham Trent University, and early bird tickets went up on 1st of March. So if you're looking to attend, now would be the time because you'll be getting them for a much lower price. Lastly, we have a few opportunities. So the Richard Beresford Development Bursary is open and the deadline is 27th March. So the fund basically supports training or conferences or anything that you're looking funding for and it's available to, again, EEUK members. And lastly, the submissions for the IEEC tracks will open up on 16th of March, and the tracks are as follows. So if you have any seminars, workshops, or sessions, do you think that follow the conference track, you can submit them 16th March onwards. So I'll put all these links in the chat and I'll let Karis take over. Thank you.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Shay. Welcome, everyone. It's so lovely to see everyone here. I would like to be outside with my computer, but unfortunately in the office. Hopefully the sun's shining with everyone today. So just a quick reminder of the ground rules. Please be respectful to our speakers, give them time and space and to each other. Please do use the chat to introduce yourselves. And if you do have any questions for our speakers, I'll collate those as we go along, or we can have some question discussion after each speaker in the session today. We are going to provide the materials after the event to everybody that's signed up, so don't worry about having to take notes on absolutely everything. We've got some slides that will be made available to you, and this is being recorded as well. If there is any discussion points or any resources that you'd like to share as well, please do pop these in the chat as we go along. Hopefully you can see that Steve has been sharing some amazing resources as well. Please do go and check those out. And I'm going to do a big pitch for the Enhancing the Curriculum Toolkit. If you've never used it, go and have a look, because it will save you so much time in your preparing your materials for next year's teaching, because it is incredible resource. There's so much in there now. So today we've got two fantastic speakers. We've got Andrew Simpson, who is a European and chartered UK patent attorney. Got that right. Based at a firm called Definition IP, who've got a branch here in Newcastle and another branch over in Dublin. And his expertise is in the area of electronics and mechanical engineering. And we've also got Professor Patrick Degenar, who's a professor of neuroprosthetics, which is as intimidating as it sounds. And he's based in our School of Engineering here at Newcastle University. So neuroprosthetics, as I understand it, helps people with disabilities. He's also got experience in spin out, and he's been involved with multiple patents in the past. So we've had a really good discussion ahead of this event about the complexities of situations. And he's going to be talking to us about his experience of AI and understanding open AI versus closed systems, and how if you've got something that is potentially going to be of value, how you can better protect that. So rock, paper, scissors time. Andrew, Patrick, hands up. Who would like to go first?
Happy for Patrick. I think he's beaten me there, so beat me to the mark. So happy for Patrick to go first.
Right, so I'm going to pop myself on mute and I will hand over to Patrick. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Give me a second. I'll put this up. Right. So just again, a quick background. I'm a professor in neuroprosthetics, so I'm more into real brains than fake brains. You know, that's my usual startup line when I'm talking about AI. But as a bit of a background, I'm more of a user of AI. I do know the ins and outs of it in quite a lot of detail. But I am pursuing a lot of efforts here at Newcastle University to try to explore how we adapt and how we adopt these technologies. So for this particular talk, we're very much focused on IP, but I think it's worth understanding where we are in this field and how we got here and what's going to happen next. And, you know, there's lots of different discussions. You'll see people on YouTube talking about how we're going to have AGI tomorrow, you know, at the next version of ChatGPT, and other people are saying it's all a big bubble, it's all fake, it's all going to crash. I think if we are to take a step backwards and we understand, you know, where we are now, how the progression has happened over the last 3-4 years, I think it's fair to say that the progress has been fairly rapid and fairly radical. Yeah. Is it an exponential singularity? No. But you've had, you know, since the release of ChatGPT in 2022, there's been a fairly clear improvement in the models. It's not AGI, it's not going to be AGI in the immediate future, but it's definitely a clear benefit. And so, you know, have we got to the point of utility where we can actually start using this? I would say yes. I would say from 2026, we're now at the point where these models, these tools, are at the point at which we can start using them in the workplace. And that's going to cause radical changes very soon. In terms of what people are talking about in terms of, you know, AGI, you know, general intelligence and super intelligence, I think we've got to take this kind of what's called, you know, the Foster's attacker's advantage, or this kind of successive S-curve type approach, whereby, you know, all technologies have an S-curve where over time they start to saturate an ability. You know, if we started more steam engine techniques now, we've pretty much saturated that particular technology. It doesn't matter how much investment you put into steam technology, it's not going to go further. Similarly with LLMs, they will probably start saturating very soon, but there's already new technologies such as diffusion LLMs, etc., which are already starting to take off. So what you will see is that for any individual technology, you get these S-curves, but overall, you're going to see this kind of rapid improvement in the coming years. And, you know, so is it a bubble? I'm sure some companies will go bust, but the technology will be used and will radically change our societies in the near future. If we are to think of what do we mean by radical change, Gartner is a US think tank. It's quite famous for coming up with the Gartner hype cycle. It advises big companies on how they need to adapt to technological change. Last year, they came up with a somewhat controversial article on what is your AI layoff strategy. And they hypothesized that essentially we're going to go from a pyramidal type approach where you've got a few experts at the top, you've got a whole bunch of middle management and sort of, you know, well, HR people, etc., and then a whole big bunch of junior staff and, you know, people cleaning the floors, etc., at the bottom. And they hypothesized that companies are going to go the other way around, that essentially with the use of AI, we're essentially going to get rid of most of the junior staff, and companies will probably downsize, and they will consist of an expert layer of, you know, CEOs, tech experts, etc., and then have just a few junior people at the bottom that will, you know, input data, etc. Now, there is some challenges to this view. The big caveat that was raised recently, and this relates to our, you know, IP scenario, is, you know, given that America is not being entirely friendly with us these days, do we really want our entire legal system and other systems entirely beholden to US tech companies? You know, what happens if the US don't want to be friends with us anymore? Yeah, you know, having you know, our entire legal system or other systems exposed to that degree is a security risk. So, you know, as much as the technology is there to basically get rid of all lawyers over the next 2 years, there are other caveats in there that will probably slow that process down. Now, what does this mean in terms of, you know, further challenges to this pyramid? I mentioned the security risks. I mean, one issue, of course, is that, okay, we've got this bottom group who are essentially the graduates or the cleaners or, you know, data inputters. But if we, and this is really important when we start thinking of innovation, if we give the bridge analogy, when we cross a bridge in our car, we want to be absolutely sure that bridge was designed properly to allow that car to traverse without, you know, collapse. Yeah, so it's got to be able to take a few tons of weight, it's got to be able to take the vibrations, etc. What you don't want is somebody hoping for the best, or, you know, God willing, or inshallah, or whatever else. You want that engineer to have been absolutely sure. So this comes into the concept of safety critical. And legally, we need to have, in any safety critical company, we need to have experts who are, you know, have got sufficient expertise to, or to determine whether or not a design is correct or incorrect. And those people are essentially legally liable now under law, certainly in the medical domain. So we can't get rid of all jobs, and we need to start shifting to ensuring that AI expert, or that people can check the AI homework and ensure things are correct. But there is another interesting aspect to this expertise, in that if you use a sat nav to go to the airport or to go wherever you want, you'd never learn the route. Yeah, and in fact, you can start to de-skill yourself in terms of map reading skills by using sat nav. So a big danger with the use of AI by experts is that there's this danger that people start to de-skill. And this is a really important aspect for innovation in the future. You know, the expert has to remain an expert. And of course, for any company, what happens when all the experts retire? Yeah, there's going to be this smaller and smaller layer of experts. How do we turn the, you know, the new, young, idealistic graduates into those experts? And that's going to be a really interesting challenge for us in the university sector in the coming years. Now, here's an interesting one, perhaps a slightly controversial take. If we are to split AIs into 3 general domains, online AIs like Grok and Claude and Gemini and so forth, that, you know, these are the household names that people know. The evil AIs, so Cambridge Analytica a few years back got into essentially a lot of controversy because they rigged the Brexit referendum, and they did all sorts of antics with the American election. They subsequently went bust. Palantir is probably the most evil company on the planet. They're a psychological warfare company. They essentially kill people. That's what they do. They're currently taking over our NHS records with the blessing of the previous government and the current government. You know, it's absolutely horrendous. You know, it needs to be stopped. But anyway, and I would note, if you've been watching the news lately, Claude recently, Anthropic recently stopped a contract with the American government because they refused to allow their AIs to be used to actively kill people, whereas OpenAI, ChatGPT, and Gemini have said, yeah, go ahead. We don't mind using our models to kill people. It's fine. Yeah. So that's probably Google and OpenAI are probably shifting to the evil AI category on that basis. Then there are the third category, which are the personal AIs or edge AIs or offline AIs. There's a number of different terms for these. These are AIs that can literally run on your home computer. And I'll give a demo on that in a bit. But these are essentially largely the Chinese models. So the Chinese approach is to create open source models. Anybody can use them. It takes a lot of computing power to train these things, but you can essentially run them on a laptop. Yeah. With a similar kind of power. Now, unfortunately, I can't show the latest version of DeepSeek. It's coming out in the next 2 days, but I can show you, the previous version. The drivers for these models are different. Clearly, the online AI companies, and this is really important when we think of where we're going with IP, the online AI companies want to become that one AI to rule them all. Yeah, that is their objective. Whoever wins the AI online, the AI race from that perspective, they will rule the AI and they will rule the world and they'll be able to manipulate humanity and do horrible things. Yeah, so that is the primary dystopian objective. Whereas, the offline AIs, yeah, there's a lot more fuzziness there about where they're going to make their money. But like I said, the Chinese want to be in this game. They don't want to be beaten by the Americans, and they're taking a different approach. Oops. So what about you guys when you're using AI? So here to the left, this is Google Gemini. This is the really, really expensive version of it, Google Ultra. The really interesting aspect of this is it's got this new deep think model, which is amazing. But there's nothing in there which says it will keep your data private. They will absolutely use every aspect of your data. Whatever you put into that AI, they will keep it and they will know everything about you. The corporate AIs are a little bit different. So if you look at Gemini Enterprise or, for example, Perplexity Enterprise, it'll be the same for the other ones as well. They have clauses in there, get sovereignty boundaries to your data. That's a bit fuzzy. I don't quite know what that means. Perplexity says guaranteed no training on your data. Yeah. However, and this is the however, corporate versions of it, they say this, but do we really trust them? It's the same as that Palantir. Do we really want them to have our NHS records? I mean, these are people who use records to basically find terrorists and kill them. Yeah, and we're giving them all our NHS data, yeah, so that they can manipulate the population of the UK based on their health records. It's horrendous. It's really scary what Palantir can do, and I don't understand why our government is dealing with them, frankly. But without getting off on that tangent, there is this concept of enshittification developed by a guy called Cory Doctorow. And the idea is that companies like Uber, like Amazon, etc., they will start off giving lots of free. It's a fantastic deal. They then capture their biggest market share. And then the step two is that they start to abuse their non-corporate customers in favor of the corporate customers. So Amazon obviously have a corporate side, the people who sell the goods on the Amazon platform, and then the consumer side. So the first stage is to abuse the consumers once you've got your monopoly, and the second stage is to start abusing your corporate customers. So the really interesting question is, they may say guarantee no use of your data, but do you trust them with with this protocol? Are you really going to be able to sue Google? Yeah, that's a big question. So here's the AI, information process. And I think this is worth understanding. So AI companies take basically all of the world's data ever produced. I'm not going to be technical about this. I'm just going to keep this very high level. They then use that to train whatever their frontier model is, whether that's ChatGPT or Grok or Gemini or whatever. They then release that in a chat interface. The purpose of that chat interface is not to make your life easier or to provide you a service. That's a side effect of the chat interface. the purpose of that chat interface is to suck in the world's information. Yeah. Your contribution to that model is in essentially four forms. One is model settings. So actually, most people don't realize this, but within your ChatGPT, Perplexity, whatever, you can define who you are and how the model should perform. Yeah. So a particular good way of using it is to say, look, I'm a world expert. Yeah. Don't mess around. Don't try to make me happy. Just give me facts. Give me the truth. And that's that will improve the accuracy of the result. You then give it context. This is basically what you type into the chat prompt. And then you can also upload data files. These could be like Excel files. These could be research papers and PDFs. These could be Word files, whatever. That combination in that chat interface will create a result. And then you can give it feedback about whether you like the result or not, or simply stop asking further questions, in which case it'll assume that the result was good enough. Yeah. And that's already a feedback, that user review is already a feedback that they take. The next stage in this process, that's the next slide. Now, when we think about IP development, I think there's probably the microscope analogy is the best approach when we think about this. You could say, well, there's no AI, there's no development in this process from the user perspective, but a scientist looking down at a microscope, determining the difference between different types of cells and different types of structures that the image underneath that microscope, is still a process and a skill from that scientist. The microscope itself is just a tool. And in the same way, the AI in this process is still a tool. The user is still making a contribution to this process of developing, developing new structures or new inventions. Yeah. So I would argue that it's still got validity, and certainly the research councils have no problem with the use of AI as long as the user in this user review ensures that what is being presented at the end of the day is correct. Yeah, that is what matters. How that invention or how that knowledge was created doesn't matter. It's the correctness of that information and knowledge. The final point in this, of course, is that these companies will take your data and feed it into this world model. They have no interest in developing your IP directly, but they have an interest in essentially sucking in the world's information to make their AIs better. And of course, if they're getting knowledge from you, that is making their AIs better. So, and look, Google and your mobile phone is listening into you all the time, and to give you better adverts. This is happening all the time, even prior to AI. Now you've got then two approaches. One approach is to say, well, you know what? If I'm developing a patent, it's going to take 12 months to close this loop and for your knowledge to become available to the general public. So then you could say, well, as long as I get my patent out before that time, it's probably okay. The patent anyway will reveal the information to humanity. Another approach is, of course, if you were going to release code or other forms of IP and you're going to publish it in a research paper, that's probably also okay. Yeah, you might not get the citations if it comes through the AI, but the information is there to the world. The bit that you need to be careful of course, is if you are trying to develop closed IP for your company, know-how IP, or you're a little bit worried that you might not want to patent for another 12 or 24 months, and some of the information that you're feeding into this AI might result in new information becoming available before your intended patent date. And remember, it's time to patent. That's what matters. So this is where perhaps these online AIs might be a bit risky from a commercial perspective. And this leads to this concept. I'm going to stop sharing here, and I'm just going to show you this tool. So you've got a link here called LM Studio. Let me just stop sharing for a second. And where is the share screen? So this is this is a tool called LM Studio. Yeah, you can download it. It can run on your home PC. Let's just start a new chat. Yeah, I'm running here a version of DeepSeek, which is a Chinese model, and you can do everything essentially you can with a normal model. You know, tell me about quantum physics. Yeah, and it will go through the thinking process. This is running from a laptop. This is not running on some super server on the cloud. This is purely running from my laptop. It's a powerful laptop, but it's running from my laptop. Yeah. And these tools, you know, if you download them, you can essentially, you know, you have lots and lots of different options, different models that you can run. Yeah. And as long as your computer has enough memory, yeah, if it's got a fantastic graphics card that helps. The Macs are good because they've got the shared memory thing. I won't go into the technical side, but you can run these models and you can get fairly good answers. Okay, there's the thinking behind Heisenberg, etc. It thinks for a bit and then it gives you the answer. It's not going to be as fast as the online process, but it will give you, you know, private AI, you know, interpretations, you know, on your home computer. And these models will become more effective as the technology progresses. And of course, our home computers will become more powerful as time progresses. Perfectly happy. There you go. There's the answer. So not quite as fast as online, but you know, it's not too bad. Yeah. So let me come back to sharing my presentation. Here we go. Whoops. So a couple of final points. So the concept here of safe operation is where, you know, if you on the settings say, look, don't make me happy, I'm a world expert, tell me the truth. In a way, that's a good thing. If ChatGPT says or if I tell ChatGPT Patrick Degener is the world expert, maybe that'll go into its training model and it'll tell everybody else that Patrick Degener is a world expert. I like that. That's a good thing. Yeah. Then you can do a search prompt. Now, when you're searching for research papers, a lot of people, you know, mention about these problems, hallucinations. So the real trick with these tools is not to take it at first instance. You say, give me 50 research papers in the field related and a particular subset of Y, and then create a table, so an Excel table. The next thing you need to do is to go through that table, click in the links, make sure the journals exist. If the journals don't exist, delete them. The third thing is that you then check to see that those papers are relevant. You know, you look at the search criteria and you just double check that it's in there in the paper. Yeah. And you can even do that with the second AI, adversarial AI. So you get one AI to generate and one AI to do the check. Now, that is not generating IP. That's simply asking the AI for existing knowledge. This can be used with tools like Perplexity. Perplexity is the best at this. You can then feed it back into an AI and ask for a summary. Again, that's not generating new knowledge yet. A third thing you can do is tell it, yeah, look, I'm interested in this field. What are the gaps? Have you any ideas for cool new technology? And I have to admit, I did this recently with one of my projects and I came out with a fantastic idea that I'm quite tempted to patent. Absolutely amazing idea. So yeah, you know, but so far, none of this is telling it your knowledge. This is simply extracting knowledge. And the online AIs, for all their issues with trying to take over the world, they are best at this because they're connected to the internet. They can do the searches. They can connect to all the appropriate databases. Then, depending on how squeamish you are, I would, you know, start to do things privately and, you know, using perhaps some of these closed source tools. Again, certainly for my what do you call it? Research grant applications. I never use online AIs for research grant applications at this stage. Yeah, because none of my partners will accept me, especially when I've got industrial partners. None of them will accept the potential use of their IP going online. Final point, and this is a slide that my son demands that I always give with any talk. For those of you who don't know, Warhammer is a kind of a futuristic dystopian world set in the year 40,000. Civilization has collapsed, and you have these tech priests that have rites and incantations to try to get the remaining machines to work. They have no idea how they really work, but they do prayers and they hope for the best. And essentially, that is the danger if we outsource all of our intellectual thought to AI. We have to have humans who understand, what is happening. So if there's an EMP pulse, if there's some electromagnetic storm coming in from the sun, if there's some other potential disaster, humans can pick things up again and we don't have an entire civilization collapse. It's a very dangerous thing to offload all intellectual thought to AI. Yeah. So I'll leave it to there and I'll open up to questions.
Thank you so much, Patrick. That's fascinating and terrifying in equal amounts, I think. Do we have any questions from the audience? If you want to just pop your hand up or if you want to unmute and ask a question. Betty silence. I'm quite fascinated by this idea of trading off speed and safety. I find it absolutely brilliant. Well, I'll pass over to Alexander. You popped your hand up.
Well, Emilio can go first since he's since I'm a presenter.
Sorry. Yeah, I just had a very a question more for how we as educators try to, let's say, make the case that AI is a tool that has to be used responsibly. The AI sector, universities are becoming huge fans of AI. At least in my own university, some of the things I see around people discussing AI and wanting to use AI is almost like in this like techno-utopian deference to AI. And there seems to be a hesitance to acknowledge that basically when we have students deferring to AI, we are taking away their ability for critical thought. And in a way, as you had mentioned, I think we are doing them a serious disservice. And so just as an example, in my university, I recommended that we teach students more about how to actually use AI. And the response I received back was that it would facilitate their ability to cheat, which of course is not something, that's not untrue. That just, I think, means that when we design our assessments, we need to, try to make them a bit more authentic so that it tries to move away from cheating. So basically what I would like your insight on is, do you have an idea of how best to communicate to the powers that be within the university structures that AI is something to not defer to?
We need to radically change all our assessment methods. So I had a teaching conference that I hosted back in February, and I showed a demonstration of the 15-minute MSc thesis. Now, the 15-minute MSc project, as in, full technical engineering project, full simulations, data analysis, everything in 15 minutes. Yeah, and to the level of distinction. Yeah, all fully automated, generated by AI. So I think we have to radically change our assessments. The most important thing for us, look, I agree with teaching students about AI. I think because you have to have a level playing field among students. But I think, unfortunately, it's going to take a couple of years for universities to realize how big a change this is. And the reality is that no university across the world, and certainly not in the UK, is ready. And unfortunately, from about this summer, none of our assessment methods are really valid. Yeah, especially in the social sciences, but also in the engineering and computing sciences.
Okay, we'll take a quick one from Alexander, and then we'll pass over to Alexander.
Yeah, so I mean, it was more just to reiterate what Patrick was saying there around whether or not it's safe to put ideas into these different types of model before you've applied for a patent application. So as Patrick was saying, the advice would be not to use certainly not any online models that might use your data. Even the ones that say that they won't, there's can be a risk around that. And it's interesting what you were saying, Patrick, around the lag between putting something into one of these models and then it sort of potentially appearing to another user. But I would say from a patent perspective, there would be a risk that as soon as you had put that information into the chat, even if it hadn't been used, it would still be potentially data that was visible to the company and everything else, and so that might count as or likely would count as a public disclosure. So it was more just to, as patent attorneys, we're always very cautious around public disclosures before filing. So it was just to really reiterate what Patrick had said there. But thanks for that. That was really interesting, and it was really good to see a demo as well of one of the offline tools. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, so it's equivalent, Alex. So using an online tool is equivalent of revealing information to somebody under an NDA, but then for that person under NDA to then reveal it to the world. Yeah. So that's, so it's kind of a legal funny area, isn't it? I mean, you can sue them, but that's no good anymore. Yeah.
Brilliant. Right. I'm going to hand straight over to Alexander now, because I'm aware we've only got 20 minutes left. There's a good discussion happening on the chat, and I'll try and summarize it towards the end.
Great. Thank you. Can everyone see that? Yeah. So yeah, slightly different angle, and I'll try to sort of rattle through this. So there's time for some questions. But yeah, a slightly different angle. So I'm going to talk today about some of the legal challenges of trying to patent ideas that have been generated by AI models. And there's actually a really useful series of UK court decisions that actually, possibly unusually for the law, give quite a bit of clarity around this. So I'll kind of use that to sort of frame the discussion. So very briefly, so patents. So as you'll all know, so patents are a form of registered IP rights. They protect inventions, so technical innovations, available in all fields of technology. So we have patents for new compositions of drugs, patents for certain types of software and computer program if they meet the other criteria. So the full range of technology. There's sort of two key legal tests to get a patent granted. So the first is that the invention has to be novel, so not in the public domain, and that's assessed on the filing date of the patent application, as Patrick was saying. And the second test is that the invention has to be inventive, and that's a bit more subjective, but that means that it has to be not obvious to a person in the field of the technology, is the sort of short way of summarizing the legal test. So again, as Patrick very clearly explained, there's been a kind of explosion of technical development with these different AI models over the last few years, and we are now at the point where these models can conceivably invent things, so come up with novel technical concepts that might be patentable. And that introduces an interesting legal question, which is, if an AI has invented something of its own accord, can that idea be patented? So very briefly, just as it's relevant to this, so there are some, as well as novelty and inventiveness, there are some formal requirements that all patent applications have to comply with. So one of them is that in the application process, you have to identify who the inventors are. and you also have to indicate how the applicant has the legal right to the patent, because that also flows from the inventors. So who are the inventors? So the Patents Act defines the inventors as the actual devisers of the particular invention. And it does refer to the person or persons who are the actual devisers, which we'll come back to. Which leads to the question, so what about if you have an invention that's been conceived by AI? Who should you list as the inventor? Is it the AI model itself? Is it the human being who was prompting the AI model that resulted in the output of the invention? Is it the human who designed the model or trained the model? So there's some ambiguity there. Fortunately, a US academic by the name of Dr. Thaler decided he wanted to bring a series of test cases to clarify whether an AI whether it was possible to patent AI inventions. So what he did was he's created an AI model which he's named DABUS, Device for the Autonomous Bootstrapping of Unified Sentience. And DABUS, according to Dr. Thaler, has independently created two inventions. One of those is a food container, and the other one is a light beacon for emergencies. So Dr. Thaler applied for UK patent applications for both of those inventions, and he listed DABUS, the AI model, as the inventor in both cases. He did later change that and say that there was no inventor, but I'll come back to that point. So the UK Patent Office refused Dr. Thaler's applications on the grounds that he hadn't met the formal requirements, because the Patents Act require you to name an inventor, and the inventor has to be a human being. And since Dr. Thaler had first tried to name DABUS, the Patent Office said that that's not human, that's an AI. He then went on to say there was no inventor, but again the Patent Office said you have to name an inventor, so you can't get around it by saying nobody. So Dr. Thaler wasn't happy with that outcome, and decided to appeal the decision of the Patent Office through the courts. He went all the way through, so he appealed to the High Court, to the Court of Appeal, and then to the UK Supreme Court. And in December 2023, the Supreme Court issued their decision. Drum roll. So the Supreme Court agreed with the UK Patent Office that his UK patent applications should be refused, and the court confirmed that for UK patent applications, you must identify a human inventor, otherwise they will be refused. Just since it's just to complete that, so Dr. Thaler also filed corresponding patent applications in many other countries to try to test whether the patent law in those countries would allow him to patent this technology. And there are still some appeals and things going on, but from what I could dig out, the current status, so the same outcome, so his patent applications were refused in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Europe, Germany, Israel, South Korea, Switzerland, the US. The only place I'm aware of that allowed the application was South Africa, but they have some less stringent formal requirements, so it's not a complete surprise. So turning to the implications of that. So I think it's important to draw a distinction between what I've been calling AI-generated inventions and AI-assisted inventions. So in the case of DABUS, it was the AI model itself that had come up with the the inventive concept. So essentially the novel and inventive part, the clever part of the invention, that was from Dabus. Dr. Thaler himself said that he'd provided no input, which means that under the UK definition of inventor, Dabus was the actual deviser, and since Dabus isn't a human, then the patent application would be refused. There is a different class, so AI assisted invention. So using an appropriate closed AI model, it will be possible for a human to take the lead and come up, so a human coming up with the inventive concept, but using AI to provide support. So for example, analysis, implementation details, optimizations, things like that. As long as the human is still the person who's come up with the core clever concept, then they could still be named as an inventor, and there wouldn't be the challenge with getting something granted. And that's quite a familiar concept in patents. So when we look to inventors, so in an academic context, for example, if sometimes a supervisor has come up with a core idea and then has passed it on to somebody else to go and sort of fill in the gaps and do the technical implementation. But in that case, typically the supervisor or the person who came up with the inventive concept is still the inventor. And so you can sort of, by analogy, it kind of works in this context as well. So final point. So yeah, other implications. So the Supreme Court was quite clear that the current UK law doesn't, and as we've seen, lots of other countries have found the same thing. The current patent law has been written to recognise and protect human inventions, and the Supreme Court was keen to point out that if this was to change, it was up to Parliament to change the law, rather than for the Supreme Court to kind of stretch the definition of person or inventor. So I don't see this as being particularly high on the agenda of the current government or possibly future governments, but it's currently it's something that is probably going to have to be dealt with by a change to the law through primary legislation. So will this curtail people using AI to come up with inventions if they can't protect them? That is certainly one possible outcome. Something else that we might see is patent applicants getting around this by falsely listing a human being as the inventor. There isn't currently much of a there aren't huge consequences at the moment if people do that. So the patent office won't, if on the face of it you've given a name that sounds like it's a human and not an AI, they won't make further inquiries. So they'll typically take that at face value unless they are provided with information to the contrary. But obviously, if you're making kind of false statements to the patent office, there could be other potential implications to that. But I'm sure that some people will get around it using that, and we may well see cases in future sort of testing that. And the final point was just to distinguish this from AI inventions. So I've obviously been talking about inventions that are conceived of by AI, but just for the avoidance of doubt, so it can be possible to patent AI inventions. So if a human being comes up with a new technical application of an AI model, then that can sometimes be patentable. There are some challenges around patenting software, and there's quite a lot of case law around this now, but it was just to sort of make that distinction clear. So, yeah, that was a bit of a whistle-stop tour, but did anybody have any questions from that?
That was great, Alexander. Thank you so much. I'm going to leap in with Andrew Penaluna's question first. So he's asked about other forms of IP, so trademarks, copyright, design rights. What are your thoughts? What's the perspective? What's the current guidance that you're giving out to people that you work with?
Yeah, so in terms of whether the output of AI models might be protectable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there are slightly different concepts. So the inventorship concept is obviously unique to patents. It can be slightly easier to get some other forms of IP protection for outputs of AI models. I live in the world of patents, so I don't know off the top of my head. I can't kind of necessarily go through those and give much more definitive advice on that. But yeah, I think patents present quite a unique challenge to that. But there are other forms of protection that are available.
Yeah, it's quite fascinating from a creativity perspective, isn't it? About real and created, that the lines are getting blurred. Any questions from the audience? There's some big great discussion going on. I'm seeing seashells and Elon Musk and loads of interesting stuff. Did anybody want to chip in? I'm going to raise some points that I've noticed then as I've been talking. So I've noted already about it's an interesting area and time for sole traders and entrepreneurs. I think there's a lot of potential for people to kind of keep their ideas to themselves a lot more. And I'm wondering also about dual careers going forward. If someone has a daytime employment and then a nighttime hustle, there is that potential for gaining the skills during the day and then applying it to your own area separately. So I think that's really interesting. Oh, Patrick, you've got your hand up.
Oh, you're just on mute there.
Yeah, sorry. It used to be that the UK, Europe, and most of the world was first to invent, and the US was first to patent, and the US was first to invent. I'm not sure if that changed, but how would that play out in terms of defending an invention? If some people could somehow prove that their AI search happened 10 milliseconds before somebody else's AI discovery.
Yeah, so the vast majority of patent systems now have moved over to a first to file system. Mm-hmm. So the filing date is the relevant date for any for assessing novelty for a particular application. And so the US is also on a first to file system now. Okay. They have some being the US, they can't make it too simple, so they have a sort of grace period in the US for disclosures by the inventor. If you, unlike in most countries where you have to file before you disclosed anything, in the US you do have a period of 12 months for certain types of inventor disclosure. But yeah, generally the best practice is always to file before anything has gone out there.
Andy's raised an interesting point there about enterprise approach to assessment, being able to demonstrate divergent and convergent thinking processes through reflection. And I've been frantically typing, but it's probably easier for me to say. I've been thinking about the double diamond approach with things, so getting students to really just go broad on something. But what I do is I actually keep them off computers in that first instance. So I say laptops closed, devices off. Let's just bring this into the room. What do we understand first? That's our knowledge base. And then let's go and see what's out there. And then what do we think is the truth? What do we believe? What is true innovation? What's been done before? So if I think back 10 years ago to my business module, students would probably get 3 weeks down the line before they realized that what they were thinking about already exists in some form. Now they find out in 30 seconds. And I don't want to break them in 30 seconds. So I want them to still go through that iteration, the learning process first, and then go and see what the world is doing. and then find those avenues. So it takes learning in a different direction, but I think it also brings that resilience of understanding first, and it takes away that assumption of, well, AI knows the answer. Well, it doesn't necessarily. It's a consolidation of its best guesses and sources of information, and those sources of truth aren't always truth. And I'm going to go Mandalorian rather than Warhammer, because I don't do Warhammer, so sorry. Yeah,
no,
Patrick,
really
did you have another question?
Go on. So just as we're coming to the end, let's have a philosophical question for Alex. So the whole reason we have patents is so that inventions didn't die with the inventor, and it certainly allowed Europe to get ahead in the 17th to 20th century. It was definitely a key factor in the rise of Europe at that time. But has it finished its purpose? If we can make inventions with AI, are patents essentially holding back innovation? Are they blocking people? How, should we change the system in any way? What are your thoughts?
It's a really interesting question, and I think in some ways, like I say, I think it's going to be years or maybe even decades before the patent law is changed to protect AI generated inventions, if at all. And so I think we are probably moving into a world where patents, fewer ideas are patentable for that reason. And I think we're almost going to, whether it's better or worse, we're probably going to be able to see, because I think it probably is going to happen. I think that there's probably relief from the perspective of the patent offices and the courts, because if you were to allow patenting of AI generated inventions, they're going to be inundated with patent applications for these ideas, and have a huge problem in terms of the grant process, and then the courts with enforcing them and things like that. So it kind of pushes the problem a little bit. But yeah, I mean, one of the examples for patents that's more controversial is things like pharmaceuticals, so drug patents. And I think that's not my technical area, but if you were to speak to somebody in that field, I think they would say that there still is a need for patents, because even in a world of AI generated inventions, it's still going to cost hundreds of millions into the low billions of dollars to take a drug from an idea to a product that can be sold through all medical trials and everything else. And so if you don't have a patent system and somebody can just copy the formula of that drug, then our company's going to bother spending the money on that. So it might be that that they are still useful, but perhaps those fields are more limited, and those kinds of companies are going to have to keep human inventors in the loop in order to make sure that their ideas are still patentable in this. Yeah. So, but thanks. That's a really interesting question.
That's an absolutely brilliant way to finish there. And Andy's just put an absolutely fantastic comment in the chat there about Double Diamond being based on a pub chat on a beer mat, which, yeah, absolutely. So alcohol in moderation can be a lubricant for ideas, but remember to use it sensibly, and not 9 o'clock in a lecture, for example. So I just want to say a massive thank you to Alexander and Patrick for being our presenters today. It's been really, really fascinating and thought-provoking. And I will follow up with my list of, when I've written it up, my list of thoughts, and we will have some resources that we can send out to you. But please do keep in touch. It's lovely to see everyone, and some faces I've not seen for a very long time, and I hope to catch up with again this year. Do have a look on the EEUK website. We've got so many resources. Please do share with your colleagues as well. We really are a welcoming community. And I hope that maybe you'll want to come along to the IEC conference later on this year, which is always a great event, really exciting as well. So massive thanks again to Shay for helping host us. Really, really appreciate it. And just one last thank you to Alexander and Patrick for your fascinating insights. And I've learned a lot of terminology, some of which I can't share with my children. So thank you ever so much, everybody. And I hope to see you again at one of our EEUK events.
Thank you.
Okay, take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.